Why bother with a podcast? Why have one? Why would you need or want a podcast? Welcome back to the Untypical Podcaster. I am your host, Liz Evans, and these are videos to help you when you think maybe you'd like to have a podcast, but maybe you feel like you don't quite fit the mold. You might be neurodivergent, you might have anxiety or with your confidence. And if that's the case, this is the right place to be because I truly believe there is a podcast in you. So, I probably should have started with this one right at the beginning. And the way that my brain works, and I embrace the way that my brain works, is that I tend to scatter around all over the place. But I did think it was probably quite important to talk to you about why would you want a podcast? What is so great about podcasting? I hear you waffling on about this all the time, Liz, saying that you love podcasting, but why? Why do you love podcasting so much? Now, for those of you who have followed me for a while, you might know the story behind my podcasting, but I'm going to retell it just in case I've got any new people out there that haven't heard this one before. So, I started up my business, and that was the whole reason behind the podcast. It came out of my business. I am working a lot from home. I'm based at home, so I have an online business, and with the online business world comes social media. Now, social media has kind of moved. It was, it's changed and it's changing all the time, social media. And I'd actually found being involved in social media really stressful. One, I'm dyslexic. I find it really difficult to write great big long things. I'm much better being able to talk than I am having to write things down. So it wasn't playing to my strengths at all, social media. Social media frightens me to a certain degree. I just find it very overwhelming and it's not great for my mental health. There's also this kind of constant need for chasing stats and likes and, you spend all this time writing a post only for the algorithm not to recognize it and it go nowhere and it just sit there and nobody ever sees it. And we were sat at Rikers, and if you, again, know bits about me, you'll know that I'm learning to ride a motorbike, and I enjoy being at Rikers, which is a motorbike cafe, a very old one. It's been around for a long time at the bottom of Box Hill in Surrey. And I go there to soak up the atmosphere, enjoy the bikes, get a cup of tea, and have a bit of time out, really. And I was sitting talking to my partner, frustrated by social media, and he asked me a question, and I responded. And he said to me, "That's what you need to do. You just need to talk, Liz. Why don't you do a podcast?" At that point, I had never even listened to a podcast. So I was like, "What do you mean do a podcast? When am I going to do that? I can't do it. I'm not a podcaster." Anyway, when I get a new idea, I tend to run away and I'm off. And that's exactly what happened. I decided, okay, I was going to give this a go. I was going to give this podcasting stuff a go. So I set off, like I do with many things, with not much research and just kind of winging it as I went along. But what I think I have discovered is, and what I love, and what I know I love about podcasting, is I love the connection. Now, when I write things on social media, you do get a sense of connection, but I often feel with things that are written, they can be misinterpreted, they can be misunderstood. I often feel very self-conscious about the way I have written something or the way I'm trying to explain something. We miss all the social cues. We miss the tone and the depth of somebody's voice. We miss the nuances that come with hearing somebody talking. And I also think with podcasting, there's a personal side to podcasting, that it feels personal. It's sometimes when I'm listening to a podcast, especially a solo one, a bit like this, that it almost feels at times like I'm being spoken directly to. And that builds a connection. And that's why when I talk about the podcast, I feel really, really strongly that to get your podcast up and running and succeeding and be feeling good, because if it doesn't feel good, you are not going to keep doing it, is it has to be something about what you can give. And When I think about social media, it's often about whether I've got how many people have seen it, how many likes is it? Will I be able to sell anything off the back of that? It feels very loaded, social media. And I think the other thing that comes across now in social media is the rise of AI. And some people are very, very critical about the use of AI in writing posts. I have a mixed relationship with AI. AI helps me to document and put down on paper what I wouldn't always necessarily be able to do. I could talk it, but you can't always talk it. So AI really helps me in that way. And I can feel quite protective of AI at times when people are very challenging. They talk down about the fact that people use AI to write their posts and on social media. So I understand that, but AI has a place, I think, in there as well. But I think more and more what we're seeing is people aren't sure what to trust. Can I trust what I'm seeing and reading? Where has that come from? Has it actually come from that person, or is it AI generated? And I think what podcasting brings is you can hear the person. You can hear it in their voice. And I think you can, and there are some podcasters out there that are, have AI write a script for their podcast. But I think you can pick that up. You can hear that when someone's talking. And I think you can hear when someone is genuinely talking from their heart. And I think that people aren't looking for perfection. Actually, they're looking for the stumbles, the word finding difficulties, the mind blanks, the brain farts, and when things go wrong, because it shows them that we're human. And actually, as our world becomes more and more AI generated, I feel like there is this need or a looking now, a searching for real people and a connection with a person rather than a computer or an AI. I still call them the same thing. I'm sure someone technically will tell me it's a difference, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, so I think if you're thinking about your business, if you're thinking about basically, I just want to share something that I'm really, really interested in, then think about a podcast. I think podcasts are the way to go. And I have got a feeling, and I think the Americans have been there, like they often are quite before us. The Americans, podcasting is big in America and it is coming this way. I really, truly believe that I think there is a wave that is coming our way of podcasting. And whether you choose to stick with the typical podcasting route, which is through audio, or whether you start to add the video or use that as an option. I always have video because of the people that I am trying to reach. If they are neurodivergent, if they have communication difficulties, if they have additional needs, they may find watching easier than just listening. So I provide both. Um, but actually, where the majority of my time and effort goes is into my audio production. I've developed a love of being a podcast host. I really enjoy that. It plays to my strengths and I enjoy that. But I have also discovered my own love of podcasting and listening to it. There's something quite personal about podcasting that, when I listen to podcasts, it's often when I've got time to myself and there's a bit of quiet time. It might be when I'm in the car. They're quite personal moments, actually, in my day that I'm on my own a lot of the time. And that podcast comes with me, it sits with me in those moments. And that's why I created the podcast that I did, the Untypical Parent Podcast, because I felt that it was a way for me to support and be there for parents when they needed it in the moment. But they weren't having to wait until 9 o'clock when the services came back online. When, at 3 o'clock in the morning when they were sat up worrying and stressing, that podcast was there and available and they could find something or find a connection in that podcast. And that's why I set it up. And there might be similar reasons for you, or it might be just actually reaching out and finding other people that love something like you do too. I'm going to leave it there. I think I've probably harped on enough about how amazing I think podcasting is, and I think what it brings that social media doesn't bring. And when I mean social media, I mean the likes of, Facebook, Insta, that kind of stuff. And it's not to say that I don't use those. They are part of my business, but podcasting I have developed a real love of. And you'll often find me tweaking around and doing bits from my podcast in my own time because it's something that I actually enjoy doing. Okay, I'm going to leave you there. Make sure, have a look back through the library. There are loads of now videos building up about supporting you to get your podcast out there, to get that podcast that's in you out there, because you can do it, even if you think you don't fit the mold. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, leave a comment if you want to. I'm always up for questions. I often will take questions from followers, people that have listened to the videos, and will make videos around those questions. And if I don't know the answer, I do my best to go and find out. Anyway, nice to see you all, and I will see you all soon. Bye.